This is better. So first of all, thank you for joining me on a Saturday afternoon. I'm glad that you want to take some time to listen to this presentation, and I think it's going to be quite an interesting presentation because it's not about learning Mantrailing, because this cannot be done in a presentation like this. This is just a little chat or some reflections on some things that I have been observing in my trips, etc. Things that I think that are important, and sometimes I like to offer some of my time and some of my thoughts for free, as a kind of to give back to society some of the things that I learn, especially for people who cannot access some of our seminars. Some days ago, I did it in Spanish for my audience from South America who cannot have access to any webinars. Any seminars. Olga, I will stop your video. Okay, thank you. You did it yourself. So this is why I came up with this idea of having this sort of conversation with you with a PowerPoint presentation, which is something that I started doing on during the lockdown because I didn't know what to do, and I thought it was a good idea to share some of the things I know with you all. So let me share now my screen with the PowerPoint presentation. And if you cannot see it, please let me know, because sometimes these things are a little bit, I don't know. I am not a very tech person, so sometimes I get anxious and I wonder if people can watch things. But yeah, I think you probably can. Okay, so for those who don't know me, although I think most of you know me, my name is Monica. I live in Lleida now, but I come from Barcelona, Spain. I am a dog trainer and behaviorist, although now my time is more focused on basically on Mantrailing. I started Mantrailing in 2014, so not that long ago, really. And I'm still quite new in this. If you want to, I mean, yeah, if you take into account how other people have been, for how long other people have been training. I just started in 2014 when I get to meet Kevin Kocher in a seminar. And from there, I started my little groups, Mantrailing groups, sharing what I knew. And I started going to seminars abroad in Italy and other countries and learning more and more. And these little groups that I started became a little bit more serious. And in the recent last 3 years or so, Mantrailing has become really, really very popular here in Spain and all over Europe. And I have started offering more and more seminars and webinars, etc. And now these last years and next year, I have a lot of seminars, both in Spain, but especially abroad in different countries. So you can watch all my seminars in my webpage, DREAMCAN.net. There you can see all the places where I will be next year. Some of them start on February non-stop, and I still have some spaces available for the second semester, but I'm pretty busy. I can't complain. I'm really happy to be able to travel the world. So my idea for this webinar was to talk a little bit in depth about some things that I think are important, and maybe some people sometimes don't really know how to structure. I want to talk about training with a purpose, which is setting goals and knowing what we want to do, and try to figure out how can we reach the goals that we have, or if we have any problems, how to fix that, how to change our goals a little bit, or to adapt them to our dog, to our progression, etc. How to structure our progression in training, how to evaluate our mistakes, and then at the end, I would like to also address this famous thing about becoming operational. How can we consider that we can be operational? Because this is something also people ask me sometimes. How do I know whether I am ready to go on a real cases or not yet? Okay, so we can discuss this a little bit. This is only my point of view, my experience, so it's nothing that it's fixed as established like this. every country is different, everybody's different. So this is just my ideas, my suggestions, and things I have learned traveling all over the world and training with many different people and a lot of search and rescue people and a lot of professional people. So the first thing I want to say is that, as it always happens, the mantrailing is something really challenging at the beginning, especially if you want to take it really seriously. The first steps are always chaotic. There are lots of things to take into account. And it's a little bit, I compare it sometimes like driving. When you start driving, you always have to take care of everything and be aware of everything. And in the end, everything becomes more natural. You don't even realize when you are driving what you are doing. Okay, so do not worry if you're starting mantrailing, because everything will get easier, hopefully, as the time goes. Some things will be easier. Sometimes some things will be even more difficult the more you learn, because as I always say, the more I learn, the more I realize how much I still need to learn. Okay, which is, I think it's interesting to think about it this way. You can never say that you know mantrailing perfectly well and that you don't need any more training, you don't need to learn anything else. Okay, this would be a big mistake. So as I was telling, the first steps are always difficult, especially like if like me, when I started on my own, almost with a couple of people, but we were very much alone in Spain, in Catalonia, in my region. So I think we are lucky now, because now it is more popular, so there are more resources where to find information. At my time, when I started, it was more difficult. And one of the things that I think it's good for everybody when we start some kind of activity, whatever it is to set goals, to know what do you want to do or what do you want to achieve with this activity, even if you do it for fun. Okay, I like this sentence. You will never be indecisive if you know your purpose. So it's important that we say, okay, what do I want to take from this? When I start my course, I have a little mantrailing course. I always give people this a sheet of paper, and one of the things I ask them is which is their goal when starting mantrailing. The goal can be something like just simply learn and have fun with your dog and have do a nice activity with your dog. Maybe your dog has some kind of issues and you think the mantrailing can help, like overcome some kind of insecurities, etc. This is also a possibility, and it's something that I have seen myself, and I experienced with my very first dog, my Labrador, how mantrailing can help overcome some kind of insecurities, etc. If you do it in the right way, of course, like everything. Maybe you want to be operational one day, searching for people or even searching for dogs, which is also a possibility. So this, or just simply just to have an activity and you can compete with in this activity, and you can participate in, I don't know, in competitions. I'm not particularly competitive. I don't like competing, but why not? You can do it, of course. So it's important that we know what do we want to achieve in mantrailing, because this will help us organize our trainings. Of course, if you have an instructor, the instructor will help you structure all this. But if you're alone, it's good that you think about it. So you can have long-term goals, like the ones I previously said, or short-term goals. And then you can, of course, you have to review these goals and whether you're going on the right track or you need to change some things. Okay, so when we talk about short-term goals, that would be what is my next step, no? Like, where am I? What do I have to train? Or even think, okay, how many days can I train per week, per month? And how long will it take me to reach that goal, or to train what I need to train for that, whatever, for a trial, for a certification, for an evaluation, whatever. Okay, it's good that we think in advance, because this way we have a purpose and a goal. We can structure our training. And then we have to always be flexible and think, okay, is everything going as foreseen? Do I have any problems, or something has come up that I didn't expect, for instance? Do I need to plan a new training calendar or new goals? Do I have to change completely? Maybe you start thinking your dog is going to be the best, and then your dog has some problems, or you yourself maybe have problems with the leash, with the reading the dog, etc., and you have to rethink a little bit all these goals that you had at the beginning. This is why I always encourage people to write things, to keep a training log, or some kind of thing where you can write down your progress. It will help you see where you are and where you are going and how is everything going. Okay. Of course, in some countries this is compulsory. You need to have all this information or hand it. If you have any kind of evaluations, assessments, sometimes it's compulsory to show your training log. In Spain, it is not. Yeah, that's here. It's something that it doesn't exist, so it's not compulsory. But in any case, it's good that you have some kind of training record, so you can take notes of how everything is going. Later on, at the end, I will show you how I do it. So maybe it can inspire you to do it or to change some things. Of course, one thing is our expectations. I want to be operational, and you start training, and things don't go as you foresee or as you expected, because sometimes things don't go the way we want to go. This is why I told you first that we have to be flexible and be able to change things or adapt things. Something that I think it's very important is that we know ourselves and we know our dog when we start some kind of activity with our dog, because here it's two beings working together. It's us and our dog, so as a team. So we have to think about them and about us. And about us, we have to think, how are we? What are our strengths and our weaknesses? Because I think this will also impact our training and will help us understand our goals and whether they are feasible or not. So am I organized? Am I methodical? Am I careful? Am I a good observer? Am too demanding maybe, or I expect too much from my dog? Or my weak points, like I'm a bit distracted or careless, I'm stubborn. So getting to know how am I will help me understand my training or the problems I may have or the expectations I have on me. But it is also very important to know our dog, because our dog is our partner here, and we are more or less deciding what we want our dog to do or to try to do. So we have to know in advance how is our dog, behavioral, how is his temperament, etc. Will he like this? How is he? Important. But it is also important to understand. I think somebody's microphone is a little bit interfering. So if you can turn it off, please. So our dog also, especially if we have adopted one dog, the dog will come with past experiences and past learnings that will also affect him and his performance in mantrailing. So we should also be aware of this, and we should know about this, because it will help us manage our expectations. Sometimes you probably know that we put too much pressure on our dogs. And sometimes we put too little pressure on ourselves. So, well, this will always, of course, depend. I can hear somebody. If you can please turn the microphones off, I would appreciate it. Yeah, thank you, Akosh. Yes, I see now your chat. So, otherwise I can try to find them, but it's difficult for me to find them when I am sharing the screen. So knowing our dog means that sometimes we will know him or her for sure forever, because we have to have him as a puppy. But there are things that we don't know and that may impact. For instance, when we adopt, there is always some kind of physical or emotional toll that the dog has to pay, and we need to know that. Okay, I train not only for professionals or search and rescue teams, but also for people who want to have fun or who want to work on some issues with their dogs. And in this case, it is very important that I can see the dog, I can understand the situation of the dog, I can understand the team, and I can help them manage their expectations. Okay, and can try to, maybe if the handler is requires too much from the dog and the dog is not ready, I also as an instructor have to take care of that. Okay, so this is also important. And if you don't have a trainer, you have to think about it with yourselves and value all the things that your dog is able to overcome in Mantrailing, especially if they come from a difficult background. I know, at least here in Spain, there's a lot of people with adopted dogs from shelters, from rescue organizations who are training Mantrailing, and sometimes with very fearful dogs, very insecure dogs. So this empathy, I think empathy is the first thing that we have to take into account and be very empathetic with our dogs. Okay, when we do this kind of activity with them. When we know ourselves, our dogs, we can draw conclusions and make realistic expectations of what we want. It may not be realistic with my dog to compete in a couple of months in a, I don't know, or to pass an evaluation or certification that requires, I don't know, 1 kilometer trail, 24 hours old, etc., etc. So I have to be aware of all these kind of things. Otherwise, I'm gonna get frustrated. And my dog, it won't be my dog's fault to be frustrated with him or with myself. It will be my only fault because I didn't manage my expectations. I expected too much, okay? So it's important that we establish goals that are personalized for us and one kind of training plan or something that helps us reach the goal that we want. And the time length, it also depends on you completely. So, and you and your dog. So don't be in a hurry. Don't expect too much. Don't want to be too fast. We always say that we have to work on our foundations, and then we will be able to do anything that we want with our dogs. Okay. And again, I insist, observe and write down every training and everything, every little thing that you think it's important or can be relevant for the future. Just note it down or write it down, because memory is very weak. As we get older, it gets worse. And it's important that you remember these kind of these little things. In that case, it's very important that you are accompanied by a good instructor that can help you, of course. If you don't have an instructor, you will be your own instructor. As a matter of fact, I always say that I like to train every handler to become his or her own instructor, just in case, so they can organize the trail, organize the training, etc., etc. Okay, so for me, an instructor has to be good teaching or training dogs, but also very good teaching people, because we have to help from outside, but the one handling the leash is going to be the handler or the owner, or however you want to call it. And I cannot handle the leash for him or her. Okay, I can do it on occasion, but I don't like to do it. So I have to be good at teaching, at passing the information, or in a way that both the dog and the handler can understand it. Because sometimes we just can't communicate, but if the message doesn't get to the handler or to the dog, this communication doesn't mean anything. It's nothing. Okay, so it's important that we try to communicate as best as we can, especially to the handler, but at the same time we'll train the dog. For me, a good Mantrailing instructor should know a lot about the subject. Of course, it seems obvious, but it is not. Or if you don't know a lot, you have to have resources or other people that you can ask. For instance, when I have problems or I have things that I don't understand or I don't know how to handle, I have my colleagues that help me. So I have a good network of people who help me and support me if I have doubts or I have problems that I have never encountered before, and I have problems solving these issues. Okay, so surround yourself with people who can help you also some kind of mentor, for instance. It's important not only to have the knowledge, but to be able to share it and to pass it on. So as I said before, so people can understand it. Of course, very important to be empathetic with the handler, because in the end, if they get frustrated, well, they will express it, and we have to help them understand the situation, etc., etc. I have to manage people's expectations, of course. Of course, you have to adapt every trail to every team. Not everything works for everybody, and this would be a huge mistake. As you know, I train one method, the Cocker method, but this method is very wide and has a lot of possibilities. So I have to adapt all the trails, all the exercises, all the components, etc., to every dog that I have in front of me. Otherwise, I would not be a good instructor. This is very important for the instructor, but also for the handler, not to expect too much too soon, okay? And value the progress appropriately. If things go slowly, but they keep progressing, we should be happy, okay? The problem is when you are doing something and it's not working, and you have a look at your training records and you see that things are not progressing or are not going the way you want to do it, then it's time to reflect and think, okay? And of course, you have to follow up, to follow all the teams, so you make sure that they progress and organize properly the training sessions. This can be done by the instructor, or if you are on your own, you have to do it for you and for your dog. So when I start preparing a training session, for instance, one thing that I like to do is this like 4 steps which are here down here. Some of you already know them, the people who train with me. I always tell them it's important that we think, we plan, we do, and then we analyze what we've done. This way, we will really have a clear mindset and a clear purpose and a clear idea of what we want to do. Because for me, it's different to do something just because we want to do it, we feel like doing it without really a purpose, or to train with a purpose. If we train knowing what you want to do, this will lead you to success because everything will have a more clarity for you, okay? So think, plan, do, and analyze. I will go through this now. When I say think, I mean, as a handler and as a dog, I have to think, I am the handler, how am I? How I feel today? And how is my dog? How is my dog feeling today? Because this will be very, very important before I decide what to do. What do I have to do? If I don't feel fine because I had a very stressful day at work, maybe I don't have to do something more demanding, very demanding or very difficult for me. Oh, sorry. And I have to rethink or change my training goal for this day, okay? If I see that my dog is not physically ready to do something, or the environment is not adequate for what I wanted to do, I should change it also, okay? So are we both motivated and ready for the task ahead? I have to think this, because we have to always try to set up things so that the dog is successful and the training session is successful or is good, and we learn, both the handler and the dog learn something from that. So think before doing, which is always good advice. So once I know, okay, yes, I'm ready to do this today, okay, now I have to plan the exact the trail or the exercise that I want to do that day. I have to plan and think about my dog. For that, how is my dog this day in this trail, okay? And in my case, when I think about setting up an exercise or planning my training day or my training session, I think, where am I training and what do I want to train? And sometimes I think first, where do I want to train? And then I think, okay, what can I do there? Sometimes it's the other way around. I want to train, for instance, a vehicle pickup. Where can I train the vehicle pickup? Okay, so I have to think where and what. It changes. It depends on the day or the circumstances. I base all these decisions on my training or my training goal for this day, or what component. For instance, as I told you, if I want to do a vehicle pickup, I have to think where can I do it? Okay, some quiet environment, etc. I also base this on the last tries that I had. If I had any problems, or how is my progression going? What do I need to do? What is my next step towards my goal? And of course, my logistics, for instance, for the vehicle pickup, as an example, I need a car, I need a driver. So I need many things that sometimes are not available. So I have to think carefully when I'm planning the training session. What do I want to do? Can I do it in the place where I'm training? Or vice versa, I'm going to train there. What can I do there? You know, how I try to think a little bit, it's a little bit crazy sometimes, but it's important that I have this clear plan in mind. Whether I am instructor or I'm just training with my team, somebody needs to plan. And I always encourage people, when they know a little bit, that they plan for themselves. So for instance, if I meet with my team, everybody knows what they want to train. Okay, so because they thought in advance, somebody can say, okay, let's train there. And everybody thinks, okay, I want to train this and this and that. Or sometimes somebody has a suggestion. We can go there and train this. People say yes, people say no, depending on what they want to do. Okay, so I encourage people to think for themselves and for their dogs. When we set up a trail or prepare a trail, it's also important to think what type of start we want to do. Remember that at least the ones who train the Cocker method, we have 3 different types of starts, or 4: an intensity, delayed start, scent article start, or we can do a casting. What component are we going to train? I will talk about components later, in case you don't know what I am talking about, and how we will end that trail. I normally like to, for instance, draw it on Google Maps on my cell phone. I can draw it like these images here and show people I want to do this. Okay, so everything is clear for everybody, especially for the runner. And when we talk about the component, it's very important that we know how do we set up this component or challenge. I will talk about it now. What can go wrong and how are we going to fix it? If we organize all this in advance, we will have a lot of clarity in our training. And if something comes up, we will be ready for it. So the dog doesn't enter into confusion and we enter into confusion and we start getting anxious. The dog doesn't understand anything and everything becomes a mess. And we don't want messes in our trainings. We want everything to go as smooth as possible. So think in advance, how is the thing that we want to train, how is organized, how is it set up, what can go wrong, and how we are going to fix it, okay? This is very important. The components I'm talking about, you may know, you may not, are challenges that our dogs may encounter. If you are preparing your dog to be operational and go on real cases, components can be anything the dog can find in a real life situation, such as anything, like darkness can be a component, the rain can be a component, the wind, cats, change of surfaces from asphalt to rural, anything can be called, we call it a component. When we train, the way we train, we put this in a controlled, more or less controlled environment, so we can manage the situation a little bit. There is, of course, always can happen unexpected because we work in the real life. We train mostly in urban areas. So cats, dogs, cars, anything can happen. But we try to present this component in a more or less controlled environment. We do this because we want to make sure that the dog is successful, overcoming the obstacle, because this will bring a lot of high self-esteem to our dogs. They will think they can overcome any challenges they face during a trail. And this creates, if we do it this way, a good reinforcement rate. So the dog, we have dogs that think that anything that they encounter during a trail, it's nothing, they can overcome it. And it's not a problem because they have always been successful in training. That's what we try to do. Okay. And we think this is a little bit the key to success, to think that the dogs feel invincible, they can do anything because they have experienced it previously in training and they have succeeded and they have eventually found the runner. So that is the mindset that we want in our dogs. Component training, when I explain it to people who don't understand why we do it this way, why we train this way, it's like, for instance, you have a marathon man, or woman, of course, a marathon runner. They don't train running always marathons. They just divide the training in every week. They do something different, and at the end they do the marathon. Okay, so that would be the idea, which is what we call in dog training splitting. If you want to build or create a behavior in one dog, you split it in little behaviors that you reward separately and train separately, and then you put them together in a whole chain of behaviors. Okay, so that would be the idea with component training. We decide, okay, I need to train a door ID, so I train only the door ID on that trail, okay, with a reward just at the end, etc., etc. So I expose my dog to all types of situations in a controlled environment, as I told you before. So when I want to progress on this, because, well, I know that I have some things that I have to work, you can call it components, call them components, or however you want. So, okay, how can I progress? So first, I train one component only, so my dog understands, okay, I can do it. I've done it. I've been successful. I found my runner. And then when I advance more or I progress more in my training, I can put 2, 3 more, 4 more components in one single trail, and the dog, as it keeps following the trail and facing new challenges, the dog will know that I've done it before, I can do it again, I am always successful. So you understand a little bit the idea. If you do, if you do too much too fast, you will create confusion in your dog. So don't be, as I told you, don't be in a hurry. Start with one component, big success. 2, 3, 4 components, big success. So the dog is not overwhelmed by difficulties. And talking about this, is important to think about criteria. If, for instance, I want to train a long trail, I would call this my component in this trail is the length. I will make it easy. So the environment should be easy for the dog, so the dog can follow the trail for a longer, more meters, let's say. If I want to work on distractions, on cats, and I go to an area where it's full of cats, then what I will do is a short trails, if possible, like short intensity trails in that area. But because I have to make them short, so my dog is successful. If I make them too long and there's cats, then the dog is going to be distracted. It's going to be a problem, you know? So please be very aware of what do I want to train here, and then make everything easier for the dog, the rest of things. So a little bit play with your criteria. If you raise one challenge, make the rest of things difficult. Easier for your dog. Okay, this way the dog will learn better and faster, because you will not overwhelm your dog with too much information. Okay. For instance, for me, a good progression in Mantrailing would be this that I explain you right now. For instance, we always start with trails where the runner is at the end of the trail. It's visible, it's maybe hidden a little bit behind a car or something, and the dog, no problem. Oops, sorry again, it goes too fast. I talk too much, I think. So, and the next step would be in that progression that the runner is hidden, but in a higher position or lower position, lower than ground level. So the dog needs to raise the head or lower the head to realize, okay, the scent comes from up, the scent comes from down. Okay, and I still can see the runner and I still can be successful. Next step would be that the runner is not visible at all. It's not in front of me, it's not behind a car, it's not up, it's not down, it's behind an obstacle, and I cannot see it because I have to pass that obstacle first, and I have to indicate it to my handler. I will talk about this later. The next step on that progression would be when there is a trail, but there is no runner at the end. Up until now, there was a runner. Now there is no runner anymore. And the last step for me, in my opinion, is that there is no trail at all. So there is no scent or nothing from the scent article. If you do this step by step, everything is logic. Everything makes sense for the dog. Of course, at the beginning, there is confusion. But if you do it this way, everything makes more sense for the dog because you're following a progression. We've talked about planning. Now we have to think about doing the trail itself, which is not easy, as you know. It's difficult because a trail is, a trail is like a path of scent particles rafts which are heavy, scent molecules that come out from the breath, for instance, etc. And the person, as the person moves, goes like leaving this scent trail behind, okay, which is what the dog has to follow. It seems easy, but it is not so easy, because this trail is going to be mixed with other trails from other things in the environment. For instance, other people, dogs, cats, the exhaust of the vehicles, pollution is terrible. It damages a lot the scent, causes lots of problems. Also, rubbish, dog pee, poo, etc. Everything makes has a scent, and everything emits scent molecules. So dogs can be very distracted by many things during the trail. Which doesn't mean that the dogs cannot do it, because those who are here, you know that dogs can, of course, do it, and they do it in an amazing way, more than we can even imagine. But it is not easy to do. So, and we have to give credit to them. So the most important thing for me when training is in every trail that we do, I think in 3 different aspects. To manage the management of the training or the trail, which we have already talked about, and then to manage our leash and our body, which means to understand the impact of the leash and my body has on the dog and on the dog's job, because unfortunately they are connected to us by the leash and we are a little bit clumsy behind the leash. Then observation for me is key in Mantrailing. We have to be able to watch our dogs, watch what they are doing when they are working, and we have to learn to read the information that the dogs give us with their bodies when they move following the trail. And also always think about Mantrailing in terms of communication. And when I talk about communication, I mean bidirectional. That is, the dog is communicating to me with his body language, and I have to watch this, but I am also communicating to my dog a lot of information. My dog, as I say here, gives me a lot of information with his body in 2 different ways. Some is instinctual, the body, what we call the negative indications, these movements that the dog makes when trailing, which tell us where there is scent and where there is no scent. This is something that we don't train our dogs to do. It's natural from them. But there is also a learned communication, which is the ID, when we teach our dogs to tell us when they have a problem. Okay, so we teach the dog, please communicate with me when you have a problem. Okay, so these are for me very important 3 aspects, very important in Mantrailing: management, observation, and communication. And this is why I talk a lot, very often about trail mindfulness, because we really should be mindful of what we are doing. We should really pay a lot of attention to everything that we are doing when we are following a trail. We have, of course, to pay attention to our dog, because we need to learn to read our dog's body language and movements. We need to be aware of ourselves, how we are positioned behind the dog, because you know that we can influence our dogs by our position. If the trail goes to the right and we are going to the right, because we don't, sometimes we do it even without realizing that we do it, but we tend to go to the right. Our dogs will read this body movement, and then they will go to the right. So influencing the dog in Mantrailing is extremely easy. We have to be very careful of ourselves and also of the leash. We have to be, this comes with training, we have to be very careful with the leash, watch always the tension on the leash, because tension on the leash or changes of the tension on the leash signify things, mean some things. So we need also to be very focused and very careful with the leash and everything that the leash communicates to us. And of course, we have to be very careful about, or very aware of our environment, because we need to be careful if we are in urban areas, whether there are cars or other dogs and people that may get scared by our dogs, etc. In this sense, it's very important to have always flankers at least one person with us to help us also read all these kind of things that we may miss. Okay, so this is why I call them the eyes beyond our eyes, because they go beyond. We are so focused sometimes on the dog and reading the dog that we cannot see maybe that, I don't know, the intersections that we pass, etc., etc. So it's important that we train, or we try to train as much as possible with somebody behind us to help. And if we are in an urban environment, also it would be nice to have somebody in front of us or beside the dog. We have to train the dog to be comfortable with this, but be careful if there are cars, etc. So they should be able to help us in case we don't see cars or something coming up. Okay, so that's also important. But of course, we must not worry or freak out because it's too much information. As I said in the first slide of the presentation, what I recommend people is that you, in one trail, focus on one aspect. For instance, in this trail, I want to be focused on my body position. I want to make sure that I stay behind the dog, I don't influence the dog, etc. Or this, I want to focus really on reading the negatives of my dog. Okay, or okay, I'm gonna work in this trail and I will focus on my leash handling. Okay, and then you make an extra effort of handling the leash correctly. You can even try to find places when you can try and train these things. Okay, like for instance, I want to learn to dance with my dog, to move when my dog gives the negatives, etc. So you can find places to train these kind of things. Okay, so maybe, okay, I want to read negatives, so I have to go to an area where there are lots of intersections, for instance, where I can read the negatives. I have to know the trail, and this way I can learn to read the negatives. Okay, so this comes again with the idea, train with a purpose. So if you have your training goal is, I want to read negatives, look for a place where you can do this. Okay, remember, or as you can see, everything goes back to the same. Think and plan before going there and take your dog out of the car. Okay, this way you will have a clear goal in every session, and you can really can see the progress if you train this way. At the end, we said think, plan, do, and analyze. It is very important. If you finish your training and go home, it's as if you hadn't done anything. But if you analyze it afterwards and you record it in your training log, then it stays forever. Analyze the trail. If you're an instructor, give feedback. This in this photo, I like it very much because it's an instructor, Chad Carpenter from South Dakota, giving me feedback after my trail. This is my Labrador, who passed away unfortunately in January. So he's giving me feedback. Of course, when you are an instructor or you are a flanker and are helping a handler, please also always give this feedback with respect and always in a positive note. So for learning purposes, okay, never be too harsh on somebody because we are always making a big effort. Everybody's making an effort. So, and especially the dogs are making a big effort, and we have to be aware of this and be kind to everybody, because sometimes we don't do it too well, but it's maybe not our fault, or we're doing the best we can. So, but it's important that somebody gives you feedback. This will help you say, okay, I was crap, I was a disaster, I couldn't read my dog. Okay, no problem. I know I have this problem. I know this is one of my goals now. I should be able to read my dog. I need to learn to read my dog. Okay, so don't take things in a bad way. Take them always as a learning experience. Okay, I always tell people in seminars like that there are no wrong trails, or not there are no bad trails. There are trails where we learn. Okay, so learning and having problems is the way we grow. Okay, so don't be afraid of making mistakes or having problems, because you will learn from those. Especially if you take note of them, you accept them, and you think, okay, I need to train on this, I need to train that. Okay, In my case, of course, everybody can have their own training log the way they prefer to do it. The way I like to do it is the one on the left hand side is the one I have. The one in the center is the one from the INBTI, which is very, very, very thorough. The one I say I have, what I did that I like very much, or I like quite a lot, is that I have detailed some of the most important components that we normally train, like obstacles, high find, low find, backtracks, the stop and go, change of surface, line up, walking ID, take scent from with the target, etc. The weather, and then I have a room for other different components that I can find that day. And then what I like also to do is analyze the trail afterwards. So I have this part where I can put the component. It was okay, we had some problems, the dog solved it with help, or we couldn't solve it. And then some observations, some comments that I could make. I also like to think about me as a handler. It's on the left hand side. How was my starting routine? How was my leash handling? How was my body position? And other things that I want to comment that were particularly relevant on this trail. And as for the dog, I want to think about how was my dog's motivation? Was my dog able to work on his own? How was the dog giving the negatives? Was he clear, not clear? Had he problems, etc.? Because, I mean, is this something that I don't necessarily have to write down every single day? But the thing is that if you write it down, you are forcing yourself to think about it. It's a moment of reflection after the trail, when you sit down and you say, okay, my dog was motivated, yes, no. And then when you go back in your training log and you can watch, this will help you remember, oh yeah, I remember that day. Oh, it was a disaster. Okay, so it's good that you can sit down for a moment and not just say, okay, I did this, and that, but think, how did my dog do the component? Was he able to fix it, to solve it? By, for instance, if you are doing, I am talking always about the vehicle pickup, but it can be like a high find. My dog had difficulties. My dog wanted to go beyond the area to search for scent instead of following the scent or giving me an ID. So you can analyze things. And when you analyze them, you can get conclusions and learn from that. Okay, so this is what I like to do, and I teach my students when they start my course. I give them a training log with all this, and I ask them, you should fill this in always, because writing it down makes you think about it more carefully rather than just doing the trail and forgetting about it. Something that I learned recently, listening to a webinar by an American dog trainer called Christopher Wing. It's very interesting, and I started to implement this also, which is the constructive feedback. Not only about the trail, but something that I like very much about this. I like, I wish, I wonder, these three things. And I tell people, I like, what did I like about my dog in this training? Also, what did I like about myself in this training? Which is very funny, because when I ask some people, what did you like about you? It's very difficult that people tell me, I liked, I was great behind the leash. Some people are maybe too insecure or shy to say it, but we have to always also acknowledge what we have done well. And more important than us, what my dog has done well. Because dogs always try to do the best they can. So we have to always think, okay, what was a good thing about this trail? What did my dog do well? Like, my dog was very focused, my dog was very motivated, giving very good negatives, was very working independently, anything. And then I wish would be seeing that how everything went in that trail. I wish I could be better with my leash, or I wish my dog could be more clear in during doing the negatives. Okay, so this gives you one more thing to add in your to-do list or new goals. Okay, and or I wonder, it's like, I wonder what would my dog do in this situation. I wonder what I would do in this situation. And maybe also this provides you information for next trainings. Okay, so remember to think, I wish, and I wonder. Okay, which is very, very, very interesting. Of course, a very important tool that you can use or you should use in your trainings is the video. And you should try to record as many training sessions or as many trails as you can, because you can learn a lot watching you afterwards. I like the GoPro. The GoPro is okay. It's nice, this chest GoPro or the GoPro on the head. But for me, I kind of prefer that somebody makes a video from outside, and if possible, horizontal, because it may not be good for Instagram, but it's good because you can see the dog, you can see the leash, and you can see the handler also, sorry. So you can see how the dog moves, etc. And then it's good to watch it a few times. One general overview of the whole trail, then maybe another view you can watch the dog carefully, because sometimes they make things that we don't see at the moment. It's good also to watch ourselves, how we are behind the dog, and then how is the leash, the tension on the leash. Do we keep a constant tension on the leash? Are we able to reel the leash quickly or release the leash quickly? Okay, all these things you can watch on a video if you record it. Sometimes when it's dark, it's difficult to record that, but if you have sessions that in daylight, it's very good to have videos, and then you can you can delete them when you don't need them anymore. So when we have done all our training properly and we think that we've done everything that was necessary, the question comes, okay, I want to go on real cases. Am I ready? And I think that this is important, because sometimes people think they are ready and they are not really ready. And we have to be very, very, very careful about this. When you go on a real case, and I know some of you here go on real cases, and you know how lonely the job of the Mantrailer can be, because even if you have some flankers behind, you have a lot of pressure, or you put a lot of pressure on yourself. Here in Catalonia, where I am, a big infrastructure is set up when there is a search. So there's a lot of people working on the search, but nobody knows anything about the trail. So it's only you and your dog, and your training with your dog is the only thing that you can rely on. This is why it is so important when you want to be when you want to go on real cases, that you really prepare yourself thoroughly for the task ahead. Okay. And I don't know in your countries, but here in Catalonia, a lot of things get in motion as soon as a person is missing. Helicopters, the cars, and everything. A lot of things, and all of them collaborate in the search, because we have to take into account that the goal is not for the dog team to find the person, but that the person is found by anyone. So you have to, of course, put pressure on yourself, but not too much. You're part of a big system or a big network of things that start moving when a person is missing. So sometimes I think people put too much pressure on handlers, because they think, why is the dog not finding? What's wrong? What happens? Is the dog not working? Is this not working? Is Mantrailing or air scenting not working? This is not the case. The problem is that it's difficult. It is very difficult. So the first part of this should be a good training. If you have a good training, the chances are higher that you can develop your job correctly. But then there are lots of other things that can interfere or can cause problems in a search. In the Coger method, we consider that Mantrailing is, this word is in Spanish, is giving information. Okay, it's not about finding the person. Otherwise, it's providing information. The information that we need to give is if there is a trail, which way does it go? Where does it finish? Or if there is no trail, the dog should indicate. So we train our dogs to give us a trained ID when they have problems, or when the trail ends, or when there is no trail. Remember that I told you that Mantrailing for us is communication. So we have to communicate the dog, but we teach our the dogs to communicate to us if they have problems. Okay, so we have to take this very much into account. Those who go on real cases know that it's very difficult to find a person, but it's more possible to give good information. Okay, this is one situation, one real case that happened here in Catalonia, and I just want to share it with you so you understand the challenges. That was in the 20th of December in 2020. It was an 11-hour-old trail of around 500 meters. The trail, you can see it here in blue, started in the house of the person missing. It was a woman who had a severe depression. So the trail started in his apartment building, followed a few streets, and then ended in a rural area, a few meters in the woods, and the person was found alive. Okay, luckily. The photo on the left is the moment where the person is being taken care of by another firefighter. You can see here the dog is a black Labrador. And so this is just to illustrate that the reality, at least in the area where I live, is changing, is unpredictable, can be noisy, can be surprising, can be very stressing for the dog and for the handler. Okay. So in a case like this, you will see that when we talk about components, here we have an aged trail, a change of surface from urban to rural. We have a start with same scent contamination, and we have some distractions of all the people searching, and the reality of a small town, but not so small, a small city, I would say, because it's quite a large city. So we really should train our dogs to be able to work on this in areas like this, in these situations, because this is one part of the reality here in Catalonia, where I live. When the dog is following a trail, the dog may have some problems and may lose the trail and may not be able to recover it. The dog may simply just stop because the dog doesn't have any more information. The dog gets tired, for whatever reason. Or the dog may, in training, find the trail without following the trail. Sorry, find the runner without following the trail. Sometimes the wind is blowing and the dogs receive scent particles, which is good, no problem. The Mantrailing dog should go to the freshest scent always. But in a real case, everything is good as long as the person is found. But this in training, this is something that we should avoid. We should avoid our dog finding the trail finding the runner without following the trail. Why can all this happen? This can happen because the dog is simply searching for the scent. The dog somewhere here, where I am indicating, the dog has lost the trail. Maybe the handler has not seen the negative indications, or has pushed the dog, or the dog hasn't given any negative indications, and the dog has continued, boom, 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 boom. This can be caused because the dog has bad training, and the dog doesn't know the difference between following the trail or just searching for the trail or searching for the runner. The dog maybe feels pressure from the handler, feels pushed a little bit by the handler, or the dog simply wants to work, and doesn't care when the dog loses the scent. They just go ahead and continue, hoping that they may find the scent ahead of them, not going back, which is a problem. It's not good. Also, some problems may come from the handler, because maybe the handler is pushing the dog because he wants to really find, and keeps pushing the dog, or feels pressure by the people watching or following them. Sometimes you have like 4 or 5 people, maybe even some relatives of the missing person in a real case. So you feel pressure and you push your dog a little bit. You push it, come on, work, and the dog has no scent. And this is also a problem. But the basic problem is that the dog has learned to search for the scent, and the handler cannot read the dog. These are training mistakes that we should definitely avoid, because if the dog starts searching and we are not able to read our dogs, we cannot give good information. Okay. And the big problem about this is that we as a team, we lose credibility, but Mantrailing as a discipline loses credibility. Okay. And this is very important. So what I mean is that if your dog goes on a trail which doesn't exist, and then the person is found somewhere else, and you thought you had a trail, and you went to the head of the operation or the head of the search and told them, yes, my dog was following a trail this way, and the person has never been there because it's found somewhere else, then people start thinking, these people with Mantrailing, they just go to walk their dogs, they just don't do anything. Okay. And then they generalize. Because, for instance, we were recently this July in Switzerland, and there were some teams from, I think it was Slovakia or the Czech Republic, I don't remember really. And they told us, we have a problem with Mantrailing dogs in this country, because in some cases they go on a real case and the dog follows a trail that doesn't exist because the person has never been there, because the person lately has been found somewhere else. So we don't trust them. Okay, so it's very important that when you think, okay, am I ready? You make sure that you are sure that your dog is not inventing a trail. Okay, this is why we train our dogs to tell us if they don't have a trail. As a matter of fact, it's always better not to start than to start in a wrong direction, in a wrong trail, or on a trail that doesn't exist. Okay, so I think that if you think, okay, the helicopters don't always find, the drones don't always find, the vehicle searching don't always find, so why should I always find? I think it's better, and it's not that something that I think, it's definitely better to say, my dog cannot start here, my dog is not giving me any information, we cannot start the trail, and my job starts here. Okay, thank you. This is much better than just to do something that is not true. This causes more damage. So make sure that you know how to read your dog. Make sure your dog knows that it's okay that they don't start if they don't have a trail. Okay, this you can do it with training. Remember when you saw this slide about the progression? We teach the dogs to tell us when they have an obstacle that they cannot overcome by themselves. They have to indicate us, and we need to help them. We want our dogs to tell us when the scent ends. Here in Catalonia, in many occasions, the dog has followed the trail until a bridge, and the person has been confirmed to have jumped off the bridge, or the dog has reached the end, a lake, for instance. The trail stops there, and then the police has found the person on the lake, or in the lake, sorry. So we must teach our dogs to tell us in a way that we can understand that they have a problem and they cannot continue the trail anymore. Okay, this way, if you go on a real case and maybe you have a contaminated scent article and you really cannot work, your dog will not do anything, will just sit in front of you or whatever indication you told the dog, and okay, my job starts here. Maybe you need a better scent article. Maybe the point where you started, it's not the person was never there. Maybe they thought the person they saw it on a camera. Maybe they thought it's that, and your dog says no. This scent has, or this person has not been here recently. So it's better not to follow a trail that doesn't exist. It's better not to follow a trail than to follow something that is not a trail. Okay, or that belongs to somebody else. That would also be a very big training mistake, that your dog takes somebody else's trail just for the sake of following a trail, even if it doesn't match with the scent of the scent article. Okay, this would be also a training problem that you should work on, of course. In the end, our goal as Mantrailers should be to teach our dogs to eliminate the wrong directions, so give us good negative indications, and give us a confident or reliable ID in front of the person, or when the dog has a problem, okay, indicate they have a problem to continue the trail. That should be our main goal. It's important that during the trail we keep a mental map of what we are doing, and it's also important that our flankers, these people who are behind us or beside us, take note of the places where we are, things, so that what we have done and what our dog was telling us at those moments. So we have to know where do we come from, which way we came, and we have to make sure that the dog is working. Or the flankers can also help on that, because sometimes the handler may be a little bit confused or maybe tired, and the flankers can help watching the dog and watching the environment. Sometimes they may even find objects from the person, because our Mantrailing dogs are not trained to find objects, but maybe along the trail, maybe you can find a jacket, you can find something that belongs to the person. If we lose the trail during the trail and we realize it, because we can read our dogs and think, I think my dog lost the trail, there is always a tool that we can use, which is the casting, to try to recover the trail. So we have to be very careful with this, because if we are too far away, we will not know. If we don't have a good mental map, we won't know where we come from. But if we do, then we can go back there and cast, which is something that we also teach our dogs. Casting would mean searching for the trail, or cutting the trail, when you want to make sure if the trail is behind or on the sides or in front of you. Even in some cases, maybe your dog reaches a point where there's maybe like a highway or something, or a river or something, and you need to the dog indicates the trail stops there. You can go past this highway or this river or whatever, and see if the dog can find the trail there. Okay, so there are things you can do when you think your dog has lost the trail, but you as a handler should be able to read this information from your dog. Okay, so you see that the key in Mantrailing is being able to read your dog and have a good communication with your dog. Okay, because we have to think always that we are a team. We cannot expect the dog to do 100% of the job. In the Cocker method, we say that the dog has a 90% of part of the job, but we also have like a 10% of work, or of things that we can do. For instance, the dog has to find and follow the trail and indicate if he has a problem. How? With an ID. The dog can indicate the person, the dog can indicate a door or an obstacle, or can indicate that there is no scent or that the trail ends, okay, as we talked before. And the handler has to intervene when these things happen. If the dog has an obstacle, or the dog goes to a certain point, we can either stop the dog and say, okay, we finish here, or we can do things like the casting, for instance, to check, to go a little bit further and see if we can give more information. If we cannot, okay, we finish the job of the Mantrailing team has finished. But remember always that when the dog has a problem, we need to intervene, to do something, or to at least try to do something. So when can we consider that we are ready as a team to go on a real case? I think that the dog should understand fully the job. So in Mantrailing, the dogs follow the scent, not search for scent. Those who search scent cones are the area search dogs, the air scenting dogs. Avalanche, rubbles, area search, all these search for the scent cones of the person, scent cone of the person, using the wind. Mantrailing dogs follow the trail. Okay, that is the big difference. Also, we have to make sure that our dog is motivated to do it at any time, in any place, in any environment, with any distractions, scent contamination, under stress, stress from the handler, stress from the environment, because in a real case, it's going to be a lot of stress, that's for sure. And the dog should be able to tell us if there is no trail, if the trail ends, or if the dog is lost. Okay, so this is very important. As for the handler, the handler should know how to read his dog and the information that the dog is giving when he's working. And the handler should trust the dog's work, at least. Well, I say 100% should trust the dog and the training that they have done together. As a team, I think that it would be very important that they put themselves to the test, participating and succeeding in, like, I don't know how to say in English, search drills or simulations, in many environments with unknown runners, in places where the dog has never been. Also, if possible, that the team has passed certifications or evaluations or assessments in different circumstances to really prove that they can do it. And finally, that they have demonstrated that they have the skills, the knowledge, and the reliability required for the task. Remember that it's very important that we are humble and honest with what we can do. And if we are not ready, we should not go on a real case. If we really feel that we have to go, maybe, of course, manage the expectations, the people's expectations, and making them aware that maybe we are not fully trained. So you should really, really be very careful with this, because our reputation as a team and the reputation of the discipline is at stake always. Okay, and the world is very small, and I am in Switzerland. They put our dogs to the test with double blinds, and the dogs are successful. And then they tell us that in some other countries, Mantrailing has a very bad reputation because the dogs invent the trail. Okay, so and this is spread. Okay, so just make sure that you are ready before going on a real case, and then you will know that you are doing the best you can. Okay, and not fooling anybody. That's the presentation. I hope it was not too boring. And I don't know if you have any questions. I will stop the thank you, thanks Tony. If you have any questions, I will stop the sharing the screen, and you can ask me if you want. If not, I will share the recording on YouTube, and I will ask. Sorry, if you have any questions, you can always contact me. Thank you, Adriana. It's important for me that we share all this kind of information, and I don't know if you think it's useful. If you have other points of view, it would be interesting for me to learn them. But my experience working side by side with people who go on real cases, and having been myself on occasion, I think it's very important, because we love Mantrailing, that we are very humble with what we know, and if we are not ready, we just say we are not ready yet. Preparing a Mantrailing dog, maybe you can do it in a couple of years, but a good Antje, thank you. It's true. It's your birthday today. Happy birthday. See you next year at your place. And so I think that it's important that we who love Mantrailing spread good Mantrailing practices all over the world. And I'm not saying that the way we do it is the best, but it's a good way. It works. I know it. I know it in person, because I am surrounded by people who have found people with Mantrailing dogs. And just take your time, just enjoy it, and think very carefully what you are doing. Remember, think, plan, do, and analyze. This will make you proficient in Mantrailing, and then the quality of your trainings will increase 100%. Okay, so I think there is already a schedule of your practices in Europe for 2024. Yes, it is. Yes, the only thing is that yeah, it's always almost fully booked, but you can watch it on my in my webpage, DREAMCAN.net. There you can watch it. This year I'm going to Wales, I'm going to Ireland, I'm going to Switzerland a few times, so I'm going to Hungary again, we are going to Austria again. So yes, I'm really, really happy and excited, because I learned so much from everybody. Thank you, Aurel. Thank you, Aurel. You're fantastic. Yes. Thank you, everybody. And thank you, the Estonian team. Oh, Siret, lovely to hear from you. such great memories. We are a big family, and I love seeing you all. I love meeting you, and I hope really to see you in person one day. Many of you already have seen, but some of you are new to me, so I look very much forward to seeing you. I will try, thanks, Akosh. I will try to post more things in English on my YouTube channel. This is a promise, because I know a lot of people from who don't speak Spanish want also to learn, and I will do my best. So keep up the good trainings and have fun. And if you have any doubts, you can always contact me. Sometimes I'm a little bit late because my schedule is really busy and I travel quite a lot, but I will try to eventually answer your messages or your emails. Okay. Thank you very much, everyone. And I hope to see you somewhere, if possible, next year. Okay. Goodbye. Bye, everybody. Bye.
Bye, Monica.
Bye. Bye-bye.